This video is proudly sponsored by DigimonCard.io for all your Digimon card, deck building, deck list, card pricing, and discussion needs. Hey everyone, Egman here with another video, and today we're going to look at the Core TCG Evolution Cup Top 16 from this past weekend. I did not compete in this guy, but that's because I was the official commentary stream for it, and it was a lot of fun. I really appreciate Core giving me the opportunity for it, and we were able to see just a bunch of close games, and that's pretty much how, the metas work at the end of set 4, and so, the deck lists are kind of more or less situated where they want to be, but we'll just see like a lot of good players playing, at a high level. So real quick, if you guys want this list or this document at all, it's going to be the description of the video. I also want to mention that Core does have an August 7th tournament this upcoming weekend as well. And so if you guys want to sign up for that, there's a link in the form, and we're just going to go from there. So we're going to look at one deck from every archetype, but real quick, we're going to look at the pie chart. The first place and second place were green OTK, which is pretty crazy. Yellow is probably the, OP deck of the format right now. At least it's the most famous top deck, but green is really strong where it's at as well, and it only took up 25%. We do have a green Hercules Kaustinen as well, kind of in that spot too. But if you look at the just green and yellow mono decks, they took up 75% of this top 16, which is kind of what we're seeing, with yellow being half of the decks and green being just 25%. We also had two blue Imperialdramon, a purple DemiDevimon, and then also a green Hercules a yellow-red security control deck as well. So just kind of, those three are kind of like the, I'd say, tier 2 of the meta, and tier 1 is just clearly yellow and green from what I've seen. So and this is just the thing with Digimon in general too, compared to a game like I play like Dragon Ball Super, there is like more RNG. So Purple DemiDevimon I'd say is a deck where it has a really high ceiling of how well it can do, but since it's a little bit more particular on finding the pieces you need, and it can be a little bit inconsistent, that's why there's only one. But I think it's still a strong deck. You just have to, over 8 rounds you can only be so consistent with it, and kind of blue and Imperialdramon in the same way. But on the other hand, green and yellow for the same cost and everything else is just a little bit more consistent, and just has like a really high ceiling as well. So going to the first place list, we're going to look at the first and second place list. They're both more or less a green OTK. This is Panagiotis Valadakis. I'm so sorry about that. I'm doing my best, I promise, and you will know when I was commentating I was doing my best too. But I'd say this is a pretty standard list, and what I really sticks out to me is how particular a lot of these ratios and everything else. A lot of 1-ofs, a lot of 2-ofs, barely any 4-ofs. The only 4-ofs that I see are the Tentomon and the Kaustinen. Everything else is a 2, 3, or 1-of, and it's just shows just how much variety you need, how much you kind of have to be expecting everything. I know Bancho Stingmon was a big force, especially for some of the matches that we saw, that this can just swing over something really big and get a huge advantage for. You can just win the game on the spot sometimes. We also have like Grand Kuwagamon for the OTK. We have Nidhoggmon, and there's also 2 Hercules Kabuterimons as well if you wanted to be more control variant. So this is definitely a not random, but it just can do anything you need. It can be probably a little bit inconsistent because there's not a lot of 4-ofs, or like the card you're needing you have to find, but if you find it, you're doing super good. Also 3 Needle Spray, which was a huge contender for where this deck did. They were, especially in security and being able to rest things and swing over it. I think it had a lot of play from this as well. You also see 2 Mimis. There was a time in the finals too where they were able to get 2 Mimis out and just win by giving essentially rush to one of their rookies. So very strong there. And going for the Budmon for the rookie and the Metamon as well. So I'd say like this is a super solid list. And we also have Eric's list as well. So both of the Omnis are going to green OTK players, which I think a lot of people weren't expecting. I'd say Eric's list is probably a little bit more consistent, but a little bit more rigid at the same time. More 4-ofs, going 4-of on the Grand Kuwagamons, 3 Nidhoggmon, and those are being the only level 6s you're playing. You're playing 2 Chaosmon and a Valder Arm on top of it, and then just a bunch of rookies and from there. So I'd say this is probably a more consistent list overall, but it doesn't have the every one of anything that you could need in a spot. So it's pretty much up to your playstyle and what you prefer. But I think both these are just super solid lists for the kind of green OTK deck we're looking at. Also going for Budmon and then just going for Tanamon as the Digiegg instead. So I think they're super good. The Togemon is something I really like for this list. It's something that I've experimented with, and you get so many times where you need to find a level 5 and not finding one to go into is just so painful sometimes. So being able to have a chance to look at it, I think, helps out a lot. And I like both these lists. I think they're both very good. I'd probably go close to Eric's just because I like the consistency, and I really do not like running as many 1-ofs. But obviously Panayiotis won the tournament, so this list is super duper good in its own right too. So there is that. Going to third place, we've got Chris Stock with Yellow War Greymon. Now, we're able to see a couple of their matches as well. Seeing with the slash Aandroidd being the other level 7 and having a couple of these two, and you'll see that there's no what are we looking at? So sorry, there are 4 Chaosmon Valid Arms, that's what I meant to say, and that's a huge amount of level 7s, honestly. And just being able to consistently go up your chain and say, I'll War Greymon to pop something, I'll Slash to pop something, or I'll also use Chaosmon. It's just more control-y, a little bit less aggressive, but you can still go aggressive running the 4 Aandroidd. Also running the single Antliamon too, which I thought was an interesting choice. Just running a single Lucemon and only 2 Blinding Rays. I know some people prefer 3. Some people go up to 4 also. Also, there's 4 of the Bushy Agamons too, which was super duper powerful in their own right, and I felt like he was a really good inclusion. So, we've seen this deck for a while. I think it's up to you for what you want, but I think this is always a solid list. I mean, Yellow War Greymon is just going to be strong in this format no matter what, and this is obviously a great deck for that spot. Going to fourth place, we do have just kind of more of a control version of green, Hayden Kawakami. And so, obviously there is still Nidhoggmon and Grand Kuwagamon, but it's strictly more about getting to Hercules Kabuterimon. The idea of, Digibursting to rest something, swing over it, and just being a lot of, a big powerhouse with it. The changes for there too, we run more of these Palmons to give, more of that. He's also going with 4 of the Argomon, which I thought was interesting, especially since if you want to be able to swing over things, you want to have a bunch of boosts, but we do have Kabuterimons to do that, and then also just a bunch of ways to cheat up your thing with Blossomon and go from there. So I think there's a couple ways to play green, and there's more if you want to be more aggressive, an OTK version, or if you want to be more control-y and just make your opponent not want to play anything because you're going to swing over it next turn. I think they're both valid options in their own right. So here's this list as well. This list is also super duper cheap. It's $80. That's crazy. Being able to build a deck this is $300. This is $190, and this is $156. But if you don't have the Palmon promos and you want to play a really good deck, I think this version is the way to go. Next up, we've got Kevin's yellow-red security control deck. We've seen this list, this idea for a long time. Being able to just play security and just be really obnoxious with it. I think something that's been new in the meta, and I've been seeing this in other lists too, is the Blade of the True. You just get to trigger, draw 1 and for every 2 security cards. So if you play this turn 1, you get to draw 2 cards, which is pretty good for 2. Also, the security effectors just do the same thing, so that's kind of nice. I think it's kind of interesting, only running 2 TKs. But you got top 8 with it, so obviously you'd want to run 3 or 4 with these because you want to be able to see your security and go from there. But I can also see having a lot of these TKs can kind of dilute them as well. Running the 3 ties to be able to run the Gaia Forces, and you're only running the Ankleomon security instead of both that and the Greymon, so I think that's a unique choice there. Also, running the 3 Lucemon is really good. Running 4 of the Magnemon, which is great because you can swing and you can play a Lucemon for free. On top of just hard casting, this lets you recover security too. Running with Bushy Agamon too, because this can go, also play off Magnemon and then get a free swing, so that's very powerful. And Salamon. Everything else is just pretty self-explanatory. Chaosmon is great for the list too. We've got Magnemon. You can just hard cast this, which are just Digivolve it for cheap off of Aandroidd or Mistymon. I think all these just really make sense and can be Really impressive because you've got like what 12 immediately good security cards from your security, and then the rest of these cards are just like usually pretty chunky or get play for free or something like that. There's a reason this list has been doing so well for so long, or the idea of this list has been doing so well for so long. Going to ninth place, we have Karan Patel. Super nice list here. Super cool guy too. He was in my chat and we talked a bit too for the tournament, and we were able to see a couple of his games. Something that I've kind of seen is that ShineGreymon is falling a little bit to the wayside just because Yellow War Greymon was such a big force for the the deck and the format. But I really do like this list for what it is and kind of going for it. So you're only running 4 Rise Greymons, 3 of the new super rare and 1 of the old super rare, or not, sorry, the old rare, I believe. Yeah, rare. And it's kind of like an in-between of a Shine deck and then also a Yellow War Greymon list, because you still run Aandroidd, you still run War Greymon, you have a single Bushiagamon, you've run Pulsemons because this card is so dang good, and just the idea of being able to do that is still there because you're running 12 rookies? Yeah, seems like it. And you're also running 9 Tamers on top of that. Kari just gets you so much memory from late game. TK can be clutch when needing to pop things. Patamon gets you extra energy and also extra security if you need it. Also, Chaosmon Valor Arm is a great new card for the archetype as well. So if you're wanting to play this deck, I think this is like a really solid list for it as well. Obviously, it's still a little expensive for what it is, but I think there's a lot of cool cards, and it's just really cool for that. Going to 10th place, we've got Jose Hurley's Blue Imperialdramon. We've seen, I think, Imperialdramon is kind of second tier right now. It's still good. You just have to be really, really good at your security checks and a little bit lucky, especially with some security control kind of running around as it is. But it's still the basic idea that having this big 12k jamming that can swing maybe 2 turns in the same turn is really, really good, and you get a lot of power from it. So that's obviously doing super well. Vmon, both of them being able to, but this just generates damage and also gets the extra card draw from swinging by itself. Vmon is a good card. Tobimon is great just because you can Digivolve for 1, or you just hardcast it for 3 and get you from there. Some new cards I see here. We've got 1 Positron Laser, 1 Aqua Viper, 1 Full Moon Blaster, and 1 Cocytus Breath. So a lot of just good cards to do this, but all of them pretty much return cards. So this says return up to one of your opponent's return 1 of your Digimon to its owner's hand. Return up to 2 of your opponent's level 4 Digimon to their owner's hand. So being able to do that is great. Security just adds it to the owner's hand though, so that's a little stinky, but that's where it's at. You also have Full Moon Blaster to return 1 of your opponent's level 5 or lower Digimon to its hand, and if your opponent has 8 or more cards in their hand, return 1 of your opponent's level 5. Instead, return it to the bottom of their deck, so that's kind of nice. And we know Cocytus Breath is great. So a little bit extra tools for where we're at. We also have some Omnimon in case you want to go on top of the Imperialdramon and get some damage. But a solid list. It's more just the straight Imperialdramon with a couple of things. It's not like the ancient version. It doesn't have like Lobomons either. It does, but not the Strabimons. And but I think this is a solid list, and honestly not too expensive. Where's the chunk of this value coming from? It's probably from Omnimon. I think the rest of this is like less than. I think this deck should be pretty cheap. I don't know why it's $200. It should be a little bit cheaper than that in my experience. So still good there. And then lastly, we've got the 16th place, just sneaking on in to a Purple's top 16 list. We do have the DemiDevimon run by Sergei Chernoshov. I believe that's how it's pronounced. If it's not how it's pronounced, let me know in the comments by just writing the same name and with no dialects. But anyways, I think this is a strong list as well. I do like the Mastamon because I love that Mastamon. Being able to do damage to your opponent and also being able to revive this DemiDevimon is just super clutch. Anubismon kind of in the same way. And if you don't know what this deck does, it's pretty much, if you're able to live for, up to like turn 4 or 5, you're in a really, really good spot. These DemiDevimons being able to these DemiDevimons being able to play DemiDevimons for free is just so much value. It helps you out so much. You're able to pop your own cards with like Chimeramon and Deathclaw, and then you just get a free level 6 out, and then if you need to go into Millenniummon, you can do that. And this also has a really good kind of, on opponent's turn, when a card is removed from your security stack, trash top card of your opponent's security stack. So that's, just dissuades your opponent from swinging. And just the idea of going 1 for 1 for life. But then you can also use Lucemons to recover your own life with either Maximon, Anubismon, or just hard casting it, which is super cool. And in general, I like this list. I like the idea of the DemiDevimon in general, and I'm happy that one got into that top 16 spot. So that should be it from me. These are, once again, you can check the description for the video. These will have all the list for it. I really do appreciate you guys watching this video and hanging out for the stream that I did as well. I hope we get the chance to do more of them. Once again, make sure to sign up for August 7th if you want to play in the first Digimon Regional for this regional season and qualify for I think it's Nationals, and then if you do well at Nationals, go to Worlds. Make sure to check the core website and also the Digimon website for more information on that kind of stuff. But that should be it for me. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.